Let's dive deeper into the action with our markets reporters, equities, bonds, currencies, commodities. Taylor, what are you watching?
Well, I wanted to take a look at the put and call options going on within the S&P 500 because, of course, this morning we heard from Bridgewater. There was a report saying that they'd taken out $1 billion worth of puts on the stock market, effectively betting that the stock market would decline. And then Bridgewater came out themselves and said, no, that is wrong. We have no net short bets on the market. So I wanted to come and take a look inside my terminal here at GTV Go. There has been this increasingly bearish tone going on the market, setting aside, of course, what Bridgewater has said. For every call taken out, 2.2 puts. So people or traders either hedging or protecting against some of that downside here as you get about 2 puts now for every call. A little bit of bearishness or defensiveness creeping back into the market. Abigail?
Well, Taylor, that's a really interesting chart. When you put into the perspective of this weekly S&P 500 chart, which is very bullish, it suggests that those rising puts to call, that ratio, that it's more of a hedge than an outright bearish bet on the S&P 500. I say that because the S&P 500, up until not so long ago, had been stuck in a range, but earlier this year, I should say, broke out of the range and then truly did so in October. Even with the first down week in 7 weeks for the S&P 500, we are clearly above that range. We have rising 40-week moving average, which is the equivalent of the 200-day moving average. We also have a rising 200-week moving average. This is a bullish chart, Mike, for the S&P 500, and it suggests that more gains are likely ahead.
Thanks, Abigail. Well, I want to look at another bullish chart, and that's biotech stocks. They've really been on a roll lately, even as the rest of the market's been somewhat weak earlier in the week. Today, the Nasdaq Biotech Index rose for the 5th time in 6 days. It's rallied about 5% in that time. You can see in this chart, it's actually broken out today to a new 52-week high. And, there's always a ton of action under the surface of this index, with drug makers getting wins and losses with drug trials. Today, it was Axivant Gene Therapies' turn to lead the gains, rising 26% after getting orphan drug designation. But you can see from that board there, it's Biogen, Amgen, Vertex Pharmaceuticals. There's a lot of gains in the biotech space today. In fact, about 140 of the 214 stocks in the Nasdaq Biotech Index rising today. And this is interesting because today was when President Trump came out and said he will soon release a plan to let Florida and other states import prescription drugs that are much cheaper than what we have now. But obviously, biotech is the home of novel drug therapies that don't necessarily have a lot of foreign competition. So, Caroline, at least today, it looks like investors might be betting that biotech is going to sort of dodge a bullet when it comes to regulation scrutiny on the industry.